Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to Agents Who Win. We are live on Facebook. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Cash Money, Don Sprenkel with Sprenkel Legacy Group. What's going on, Don?
What's up, Todd? Thanks for having me on. Again, if I'm not mistaken, I think I might be your very first two-time guest of the show.
And well, you've been the guest a few times and you've been a host a few times.
I have been a host too, so
yes.
I know nobody's, two-time guest and host. So I don't know if anybody's got me on that.
Welcome to the flip side.
Yeah.
Third time. Now you're a third-time guest. I think we've done a guest a few times on this. It's awesome.
Like it.
So we wanted to talk about, your real estate journey today, going from brand new agent to, picking a 100% brokerage to joining a team to moving on to being on your own, starting your own business and potentially starting your own team as well. So I want to talk about the journey of your journey into real estate.
Yeah. I've been a firefighter paramedic, was for over 10 years. That is a cool job, by the way. I mean, if you have to have a job and you got to get up and go somewhere, if nothing else, for the bunker pants and the fire truck, it's a job worth having. You only have to show up every third day. You're there for 24, and then you get every day's a Friday. So I mean, that I've really enjoyed that career. But ultimately, the longer I got in that career, the harder I saw it was to, get to the end of that career for that pension and those benefits, mentally and physically. So I just got to a point in that career where I reached a lot of goals, and it didn't give me the exact outcome or result that maybe I thought I was looking for at that time. So and a lot of that outcome that I'm talking about had to do with just the time with my family and resources for my family and things like that. I kind of just made a decision that, I had to start looking at other avenues. And great thing about the fire department, I've said this before, is you have the ability to have a second career, whether it's a part-time job or if you want to just build out a whole new career. So that's kind of what I did. I initially thought it was just going to be maybe a part-time thing. I'll figure it out just as I go. But the more I dove into it and learned more and just really just saw the opportunities and possibilities from so many different avenues, I kind of made the decision almost immediately, okay, this might be more of a bigger thing sooner than later.
Right. Well, it's been a quick journey for you. I mean, it's 2 years you're in and you're doing very well. You're exceeding most of the avenues that most new agents don't, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I was fortunate from the standpoint that I had a good friend of mine, college roommate and teammate from college football days, who he's an entrepreneur, and he was already in real estate, and I just happened to come across his stuff and asked him about it and what he was doing. And at the time, he was prospecting for sale by owners and expired listings. I asked him about it, and he said, "Do you want to just talk about it?" He said, do you really want to go down that rabbit hole? Yeah. I was like, well, I don't have any other plan. So what do you got? And that kind of introduced me to cold calling right out of the gate. And that was instrumental, because what it did was it gave me something to do. It gave me a plan and a routine right from the beginning that I could focus on.
So, and that's the biggest thing is getting yourself in the beginning over the fear of the phones. And because that's the biggest challenge with a lot of people in this business, they have the fear of the phones, and you're in sales. You've got to pick up the phone. You've got to make the calls, whether it's calling for sale by owners, calling expireds. And that's a good path to start out, because then it gets you over the 100 no's to get to the yes. Yeah. And, in the lead generation side of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, whenever I tell people I prospect, FSBOs and expireds, they're like, oh, I can never do that. I can never just call people and get on the phones. And I'm like, the one thing I realize is that it doesn't matter if it's for sale by owners, expireds, Facebook ads, they come into your website, wherever the leads come from, unless it's somebody that personally, in your A or B list that's calling you up directly to say, hey, can you help me find a house to buy, or can you help me, sell my house? At some point, you got to get on the phone and reach out to somebody that probably barely knows you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the lead source is. So for me, what I had to realize is that, people talk about scripts, you know, what's a good script for this? What's a good script for that? The script is whatever you're able to internalize in terms of how you have that conversation with somebody, because it's really just about connecting with people. If you can learn how to communicate and connect with people and to actually be interested in what they're saying and not just try to make yourself interesting, people are going to connect with that, and they're going to let down those walls, and you're going to be able to establish more relationships and have more potential business sooner rather than later. I think sometimes we're just trying to, you know, we're trying to get through that script because we're making it about us. It's not about you. It's about that person. And if you can help them, awesome. But, you know, you're not going to connect with everybody. You just got to find the right people that you're going to connect with, and then they're going to connect with you.
And that's a big thing too, because I mean, they are a blind lead. It's like with internet leads as well. If it's Facebook, Zillow, you know, 𝗙𝗿𝗺, Google, whatever, they're all people who don't know you. You've got to call and build that reputation or that connection with them. And so that's just the biggest thing, is getting the phone and understanding how to have the phone call with them. I've got some team leaders that I know that, you know, has they say a certain personality can call, you know, Google pay-per-click versus a different personality can only call Zillow versus, you know, can only call this other. And, you know, it's a lot of them are in the follow-up too, because a lot of your business in the beginning was constantly just bombarding the phone, and you've taken it a step further by doing a lot of video to them as well, which has now given you the brand of, hey, you're the video realtor, you know, constantly sending the messages. And then, you know, now you're into the repeat referral game. And because you've stayed in touch, or you've been in touch with them enough, you know, you've built the momentum up.
Yeah, it's funny because you know, if I look at my numbers and everything, I'm really not doing any like more business than I was doing last year, but a lot of that business is coming about in a lot of different ways. So, you know, past clients, repeat referral business, sphere of influence. I jumped on the phones right away because that was an opportunity with prospecting for sale by owners and expireds to get immediate business. So bottom of the funnel, as they say. Everybody always wants to, you know, have their friends and family and people reaching out to them to do business with them. But you got to still establish yourself as an expert. Somebody knows what you're doing. You know, so, and that takes time. So the other thing that I did, other than getting on the phones, was I just made the decision that I was going to, you know, be present on Facebook and social media. Like, those are the two platforms that I picked out initially. Like, I was going to be as consistent as I could on there to stay in front of people. And also to be careful not to just make it about real estate all the time. Right. But more about also who I am as a person, and what's in things that are important to me, that who and why kind of thing. So, if you look at my profile, my profiles and stuff, like, there's probably a ton of people who have a lot better, you know, profiles, more followers and engagement and stuff. But like, what I've done with that over the last 2 years has been at least enough to bring me the type of business that, like, now at this year, I'm doing the same amount of business as last year, but I'm not having to prospect for sale by owners and expireds like I was last year. Like, I'll still do it, you know, because I know how to do it, and I don't mind it. I enjoy it sometimes, but I can be a lot more pickier, and I don't have to do it for 3 hours, 5 days a week, every single day. Like, just hitting those. I can I have other lead sources now too.
Right. No, that's the thing, is you can go after, because you are on social, and it's not just posting random stuff. It's being relevant on there and posting the right stuff. And that's the biggest thing, is, you know, knowing what to do and when to do it, and creating the content. So let's talk about a couple things about the journey to the team. What brought you to our team?
Initially, I had my first 4, almost 5 months. I just didn't have any business. I was running out of money. You know, I had other side jobs. I was, you know, other than the fire department, I was teaching at a couple of the local colleges in the EMS programs, and I had other side work too. And I made a decision I was going to quit all of that. No more overtime, no more of those side jobs, and this is what I was going to focus on, because I knew I needed to dedicate, you know, as much time as I could. And I felt confident that initially the plan that I had in place was, you know, I could figure this out. So the first brokerage I was with was a smaller brokerage, 100%, you know, commission, but not a lot of resources in terms of support and help. And I realized very quickly, just how little I did know. I could set that appointment over the phone, but I just couldn't get anything past there. And that was hard. So I was running out of money really. And I, was trying to see different avenues. So I was familiar with your name and your team and everything, being local in the same neighborhood. So there was an opportunity I think you had an event or something, and I used that as an opportunity just to get in front of you.
We had a lender come in and talk about Instagram, and you came in for that. So that was a good way to come in or get connected.
Oh yeah, I had an agenda, hidden motive from day beginning. But for me, I'm very confident in my ability from the standpoint of that. Like, I know that if I can learn something and I can do it well, and I can learn to do it well, but at the same time, I'm also humble enough to know that I don't know everything, and that there's people out there that probably know more than me or better than me in certain areas with whatever that might be. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I saw you had your team, you seem to be, have a good hold in the area and longevity. So I was like, well, obviously I need to learn what this guy's doing.
Well, it was funny because when we first talked, it was like right when you got your license, and I was at lunch with my wife and at 𝗙𝗿𝗺, and I turned my phone over and it says, hey, I want to join EXP. Can we connect? And I sent you back a message. How'd you find my name? And it's on my fridge,
Yeah.
I'm like, easy recruiting. It's instead of using our magnets on your fridge to go get buyers and sellers, we're going to use it to go find realtors.
Yeah. Not even doing agent attraction.
Yeah. It's another version of agent attraction. We'll mail all the new realtors magnets.
Right.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, I mean, that was why. I mean, so there was an opportunity there where I could still continue to focus on, what an area of my business on how to grow that I believed in. Like, I thought, I knew it could work. I thought it could work. But to get that support from not just from a financial standpoint from being on a team, because there's certain expenses when you're on a team that you don't have to worry about. That's one of the benefits of being on a team. But it really allowed me to just learn so much more about other aspects and facets of the business, and really just slow everything down, because I could put more time and attention just into lead generation and setting appointments. So I could take a step back and I could see, the back end support with transaction managers, marketing managers, and talk with them and see things that we were doing as a team that maybe worked really well, or maybe things that didn't work really well, or maybe some things that I didn't like, or maybe I thought was, I did like. So it was really just gets you to just step back and focus on what's most important, which is developing yourself as an agent, but also learning to actually be, a business owner yourself.
Yeah, no, it's a good avenue. And it's like, I mean, there's a lot you can learn from just being around a bunch of others, especially whether you're on a team or not on a team, and being in an office around other producers and the support system that's back there. Because, as a individual agent, you're wearing, 12 different hats, but when you're on a team, the goal is to wear one or two hats, and that one or two hats is generate leads and go and show houses and go close them. And we're obviously generating the leads, or if you're making the calls, whatever it is. But it's going from getting the customers to contract, to getting the contract to closing, and letting the support team handle all the back end part of the business. You need to just concentrate and stay in front of people. As one of my friends says, shaking hands and kissing babies is going on to the next person, and let the team go do that. So what are some of the top things that you took away from the team that you're using to try and build? You're starting out now. I think it's been about a month you've been on your own, going in and creating your own team. What are some of the top things that you're trying to implement right away?
Yeah, so we created the Sprenkel Legacy group, and that's exciting, and we did that. I did that as well, because one of the things I learned from the team was the importance of being able to leverage other people, as a resource. Like you said, there's certain things that just because I might know how to do it, or might even be good at doing it, doesn't necessarily mean I'm the one that should be doing it all the time. It's that whole $10 an hour work versus $100 an hour work, right?
Right.
Not that it's only $10, it's definitely more than that. But the admin side of things, the back end stuff, there's a lot to that that people don't see, and there's really, you can get really bogged down in that. So I learned one of the biggest takeaways was how to leverage other people, right?
Yep.
In areas that they could excel in, and as a team, you could be successful, and you can manage your time better. And then, really, with that being said, I really learned the importance of systems and processes, because what with the systems and processes, like if you can figure out a way, there's so much that we do, I think, realize every day that we don't realize that if we can just automate it, like we could save ourselves so much more time with lead generation and follow-up and staying in front of people. And if you can learn how to do certain, my dog's
I see him walking in the back. There's Cash.
He wants to play. But the systems and processes, like if you can set up things that people can just plug into and say, this is how we do things every single time, every single way, like, it minimizes your chances of missing something, doing something wrong, or, just not providing the same value, because you have those checklists. But also it allows you to automate a lot of things, so you can have more of your time back. The other thing was, with that being said, I really learned how I needed to plan my time and my money, right? For a lot of agents, coming in, I think they still have that employee mindset. Most people that are getting into real estate, it's a second career for them. They're coming from, a first career a lot of times in the workforce from an employee side, and now coming over as a realtor. Even if you're on a team, like, you still should view that as as a business owner now, like, and how do you want to run that business, whether it's just yourself, or, if you eventually are going to have other people. And no, I don't know any business owner that hasn't been, that is successful, that hasn't implemented the proper systems and processes to make it scalable and repeatable and predictable.
Right.
So the systems and processes are huge, from the lead gen to the follow-up, especially to how you, reach out to past clients, to how you, when you have a new transaction that comes in, whether it be a listing or buyer, like that whole process, like there should be, my opinion, there should be like a how-to, a checklist for just about everything. Because the more there is of those, the more you can just plug people into it. And then it becomes, I'm not the one that's like the secret sauce, or this person or that person. Like, it's the system and the process. Like, that's what the secret is.
Yeah.
And then as far as that goes, tracking. The last thing would be, tracking what you're doing, tracking your numbers. Like, if you have a plan, you need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy on how you're going to implement it, but then you got to be able to track it and inspect what you expect. Because if you're not looking at your numbers on a weekly, monthly basis, you're not going to know where your business is at, and you're not going to know where the direction it's going and how to improve things, or, what fits and what doesn't fit. You just kind of run lost.
And the tracking is a big thing too, because like you're coming from the expired to FSBO, game. So how many calls I need to make, to how many, how many dials I'm going to make, to how many connections I'm going to make, to how many, people are going to answer. And then, how many appointments I need to go on, to how many things that I'm going to end up getting signed. And it's funny, it's not just you, but it's everybody who's in that expired or FSBO game. I'm going to dial 100 people to connect with 10 to potentially, get on 2 appointments to list 1. And, it's a much lower conversion rate, but, it's also a good practice, because what are you doing? You're constantly going on listing appointments. So what you're doing is you're honing your listing skills even more doing that. And, what better thing to practice on than people who hate realtors, FSBOs.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing with the tracking too is, like, and what I've learned is like that, taking that mentality, because from a FSBO expired standpoint, if you talk to somebody and say, I made over 9,000 calls last year, almost 10,000 dials last year. They're like, man, I don't know if I could make that many calls. I don't know if I'd want to do that many calls. But if you say, hey, every time I picked up the phone last year, I made almost $12.
Right. Well,
like,
that's true.
You pick up the phone almost 10,000 times. If you were going to make $12 in every single call, or if you could potentially learn how to make $20 in every single call, like, oh yeah, I totally do that.
Yeah.
Because that's how I look at it. Like, if you track all your numbers, like I can look at all my numbers, like say, okay, I made this many dials, this many contacts, this many appointments, this many conversions, and this is my conversion rates. That means if this is my GCI, that means every time I picked up the phone, I made X number of dollars. Every time somebody told me no, I just needed 15 more no's or 10 more no's to get to the next. Yeah. Well, so like, it makes it so much more predictable. And like, I am by no means like still like perfect at it. I still have some days where I fall behind, I got to catch up, and like, and still learning just different avenues on just, the importance of tracking certain metrics, not just your phone calls, but now getting into like different ads and things. Talk about Facebook ads and Google ads, like what's your cost per lead, ad spend, daily and stuff like that.
How many leads we need to bring in, to how many, calls are going to, convert back out, to how many appointments. And, it's you people ask what's your cost per lead. Well, it depends on what the opportunity is. Facebook's 10 cents, Google's $60, Zillow's $500, whatever the numbers are. They all have a different spend because it's the location of where they're coming from.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are so important. Like if somebody like comes to me and they're having issues in their business and not getting the business that they want, or just not producing enough, like one of the first things I ask them is like, okay, what's your strategy, and how are you tracking it? Like how many people are you reaching out today? What every day? How many people are you reaching out to? What's your goal in terms of contacts every day? And why is that your goal? Like, why do you need to talk to those many people? Because that goes back to the very first thing that people should, I think people should do is how much business do I want to do this year? Okay. Right. What's my average price point? What's my average commission? All right. So that comes down to this many transactions. All right. Well, then what do I need to do to hit this many transactions? So then then when you start whatever that lead gen is that you're doing, if your numbers aren't bringing you to what that transaction goal is, well, then you know how to adjust it. But if you're not tracking it, you're not going to know how to adjust it. It's going to drive you crazy.
Well, that's the thing, is like we said on the coach yesterday, it's like, all right, you have so many people on the team, you need to have so many leads. So let's look at the lead sources. Do we need to spend more money on them, or do we need to find other opportunities, or, see where the avenues are there for what's coming in? So what are some of the ideas for agents on their own? Like if they're on a team now, what is should they be hitting a certain transaction amount with the team before they decide to go on their own? Or what is your thought process there?
I think it kind of depends on the agent and what their comfort level is, but also what their ultimate goals and vision are for why they got even into real estate to begin with. Like I said, for a lot of people, this is a second career. This is a career move they made, and they did it probably because they were dissatisfied with whatever career field they were in at the time. Like it maybe just wasn't. They hated their job. Maybe I didn't necessarily hate my job as a firefighter, but it wasn't producing the outcome that I wanted for my family and stuff. So I needed to do more, right? And there's only so many more hours in a day. I was already working so many jobs. So so I had to learn how to not just work for money, but how to create money. So like with that being said, like I knew what was important to me in terms of like, this is why I'm doing this. Like I want to have the time and the freedom with my family and the resources with my family. And then also to be able to impact, the people around me and my community and the groups and things that are important to me. So that's my vision and my goal. And that's my, my why or whatever you want to call it. But so as I progress down that path, like if something doesn't fit my vision or my goal, well then I need to remove it, or I need to change it, or I need to add something in. So that becomes the most important, because I think a lot of people get into real estate because they want to have more time, they want to control their time. Well, if you're not planning, if you're not clear and on your vision and your goals on what you're trying to accomplish, and you're not time blocking properly every day, every week, you're going to find that you have even less time. So that's what I found, and I know that because I did it to myself, and that it defeats the whole purpose of why you even get into that. If you just want to make money, well, just go work more hours at your job. You make more money, and have less stress. But So for me, like, it was all progression, like it was all growth. Because what's funny is, like, when I was told some people, like, oh yeah, I've transitioned off of the team, and I'm going on my own. They're like, is everything okay? Like, you just have fallen out? I'm like, no. I'm like, this is a good thing. Like, this is all about growth, and continuing to progress, for myself and my team, but also for your business as well, because that also ties into, specifically, like, our brokerage model.
That's what is my next point, is like segue into the beauty of the brokerage that we're with.
Yeah, this is the, like, only brokerage that, like, I know of where it actually promotes the growth and success of others. Like, most agents, or a lot of brokerages where it's a lot of times like, don't copy off of me, right, kind of thing. Or they don't want to help you be too successful, because then you might be more successful from them and take their business. Number one, there's more than enough people in the Orlando metro area, from Volusia to Orange County. Like, there's more than enough people to do business with and to connect with. So I'm not worried about that. And I'm also not worried about telling anybody, even if they're not with our brokerage, what I do. I'll tell you everything I do, because you still got to get up every day and do it. But with our brokerage, like, it's the model with that is that, it behooves you to help people be successful, because the more you bring people in and help them be successful, then the more success they're going to have, and you're going to reap the benefits at some point, not from them, but from the brokerage directly. So if you come in and you want to get out of your job, your current job, your career, or maybe you are a realtor, but you just haven't been doing the business level of business that you want to do, and you want to do more. If I teach you how to make $100,000 or sell however much transactions, and the company pays me $5,000-$10,000, whatever, just a number, throw a number out there, $10,000 for numbers' sake, are you going to be mad? Like, no, you're going to say, Don, can you teach me how to do $200,000 next year?
Right.
So being able to create scalability, not just within your team and your business, but also other revenue streams, and that's really what it comes down to, other ways to make money, like, not just transactions. Because if it's just about transactions and everything depends on you turning transactions, but what happens when you can't turn transactions anymore, like, or do deals, or you don't want to, do transactions anymore? Maybe you want to retire. I don't know. But it creates other revenue streams that, so you have a way to create that money, that ongoing income, not just active income, which is what most people are used to. What we're used to, we go out, you do the work, you got to create the money. So it promotes the scalability, the longevity of that aspect. And for me personally, like, I'm very big on just the team concept in general, because I, playing sports my whole life, college football, being with the fire department, there's a big sense of brotherhood, or sisterhood, brotherhood, in those realms, tight knit, close. And with EXP, even though we might have our own businesses and everything like that, even in some of the same local areas, we're still out there to try to promote growth and help each other. I can still reach out to you, right? I can still reach out to people downtown, in there, because it's all part of the same line. The more successful I am, the more successful you'll be, and vice versa. So you're really in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. So I can still go out on my own, be a single agent, and I can still lean on other people to help me, and I can still do the same for other people.
Well, that's the thing, is that the brokerage model allows us to, you leave my team and you want to stay in the brokerage. Now I feel like we're competitors, and, it's not sharing the models or not sharing the ideas that we have going on. And instead it keeps us as business partners, and, we're collaborators versus competitors. And so we want to share systems, because I still want you to be successful. And and that's what I love about, the people that we're aligned with here in the Orlando market, is that they're constantly pouring into us with everything. And if we need something, they're Johnny on the spot for us. If we need a new system, if we need, hey, I'm trying this, let's learn about it, let's sit down and put a plan together on it. They're the partners up above are willing to help do that for us, and constantly bringing in, awesome speakers to help us build businesses, et cetera. So, that's the beauty of this model is, as you want to transition off, you don't need to leave the brokerage or other places. Because I had a team member leave one day, and she goes, "When I'm not staying with EXP," I'm like, "That's fine. That's your loss. But I'm still here to help. If you stay with the company, we're still here to help you out." And I'm watching now selling one house a year versus the 15 to 20 they were doing before. So
there's power in association.
There is.
Like I believe that there's power in association.
No, it's in the numbers. Well, Don, I appreciate you jumping on today. I wanted to just kind of talk about your story and what the path has been, and other agents that are on teams, if they're looking at wanting to be on their own, what the path looks like, or just what the just understanding the value of the business itself. If you're in a second career, if this is going to become a second career for you, what that can look like as well. Anybody has questions for just growth of an agent, reach out to Don or myself. We're happy to sit down and discuss and see the opportunities that we can put in front of you as well.
For sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on again.
Yep. No, definitely. Third time's a charm, and we'll get you on as a host again here soon.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Cool. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a good Friday. Have an awesome weekend.
See you later.